You know what? I just knew you were going to say something like
some country type music.
I thought you were. I would have said that you would have said Def Leppard.
Hands up, heads down, shake it on, turn around. We're kicking down, we're gaining ground. We do it right, do the here right now.
Megan Holland.
Scott Smith.
Wait. Is Chris Watt? He's not going to be in here, is he?
No.
Oh, nice. Nicole, soon to be Loins.
Yeah.
Welcome to Super Trooper.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mutual of Omaha. So you're the title strategic partner, the super duper most giving strategic partner. What's your official role? What is your level?
What is my title? Director of Strategic Partnerships.
No. We're going to get to that.
Oh.
You're the highest level of sponsor partner / we have a True. And I'm trying to figure out what we call that. It wasn't.
I think we call it title.
Title?
Yeah.
Okay. We need a better word. That's not sparkly enough.
Supreme.
Oh, supreme. Supreme partner. I like it. Okay. Director of Strategic Partnerships. Mm-hmm. And which one do you want to give me?
Which title?
Yeah.
Vice President of Distribution and Marketing.
Well, that doesn't
mean a lot, right?
Well, it doesn't capture the 37 things that you're doing.
It's vague.
It's true. It's true. I guess distribution has its own
That's right.
bucket of things.
Well, you know what we should do? If we're going to be supreme strategic partner, I think we should then go to Queen of Distribution. And then what could we be? Goddess of Strategic Partnerships?
There we go.
I'll take it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think we should be able to come up with that. Forever, I wanted to put El Presidente on my business cards. Because I just thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Probably only me. Anyway, welcome to Gunnersville.
Thank you.
We've had a night, a dinner, and most of a day. And although we have pretty glorious weather here, you both declared you think it's cold.
Yes.
It's a little
But you're in Omaha and you're in Detroit.
I know.
It's like 50 degrees here.
But Alabama's like the South. I picture the South as warm. I don't picture Omaha or Detroit as warm.
I get it. So really, you know what this is? This is all relationships. It's all about expectations and communication. Because if you are expecting slightly warmer than you have, that would have been fine. But you were expecting actually like
70s.
Yeah.
No, we're in northern Alabama, so we do get 4 seasons. And sometimes it gets chilly. But it's only, it's 56 degrees outside. That is not cold.
Right now is okay. Last night, though, coming back from I could not get my toast to thaw out for about, 4 hours.
Yeah, there was a breeze coming off the water.
We're on a lake, the beautiful Lake Gunnersville. Mm-hmm. Well, I hope we can survive tonight. We've got another cold Alabama night to get through. But we're actually doing some strategic planning work here as well. It's not all fun and games. Lately, I have had some arrows thrown my way. I guess they would be shot my way because throwing an arrow would be pretty inefficient. They think sometimes we have too much fun here, that all we do is like concerts and events and the surprise and delight and podcast. But can you verify to everybody that we're actually doing strategic planning meetings too?
We are.
Yeah.
Strategic planning meetings. We have our reports together, our decks together.
See,
going through it all.
Reports, people. There's a PowerPoint presentation involved.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Spreadsheets.
The spreadsheets.
Opportunities. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All the above.
Sometimes I just like to look around like there are people watching us, like say, see people, we actually do some work around here. This is going to be a wide-ranging conversation. Yeah. We're going to touch on some Mutual of Omaha stuff. We're going to touch on some personal stuff for each of you. Not too personal. We can always say cut if it gets too personal. Because sometimes I say too personal, and then I'll ask a personal question, and I'll say, that might be a little too personal. We don't have to ask. You can let me know how personal I can get. Let's start off this is a little bit of work stuff. So I started True Network in soft launch November 2015. Mm-hmm. Really started the company January of 16. We did not have an official Mutual of Omaha partnership for the first year.
Correct.
It was sort of like this, I don't know, local something. I don't even know what it was. I guess that Ryan and Rob approved at that time whatever Chris and I took to them. Does that sound like what happened?
And Chris Moore had a conversation with me about it. Yes.
Well, this is, but this is, okay.
Yeah.
So you approved it right away. But then we got a real official one in like 17.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
I wish I could go back and could have been in the room when Chris Watt was pitching you on what the opportunity was. Do you remember any conversation?
It was more about you as the guy. He's like, I've known this guy forever. He's really great. He's really fun. Blah, blah, blah. We got something here. I'm like, pull up. I'm like, it's like $1 million book of business. What do you got? Right? But yeah, it was all about the relationship piece is kind of how it started. So obviously with looking at that, there's only one way to go, which is up.
Well,
so
we've done that. Can we disclose in public how big the block is? This is for real. Like, can we disclose that? So we've gone from $1 million book of business to roughly, what is it today?
North of 60.
North of 60 million. I wish I could reach you to cheers that, but we will cheers at the end somehow.
We will.
That stuff is that's amazing. That in, what is that, from 17? 6 years? Is that Alabama math going on? 6 years?
Yep.
To go up from 1 to 60?
Yep.
Well, you guys have been, everybody at Mutual of Omaha has been really good to us. Like, everybody. And I've got to meet a lot of people from the Move family over the years. Now how do we get it to 120? How do we double it?
I think we're still just scratching at the surface,
right?
To be honest. I think we have a lot of potential. I think we have incredible relationships already, but it's getting to that next level and kind of finding the synergies again and finding opportunities where we might have not been as strong, but we definitely have grown into, and just continuing to trust our relationship.
Well, it's interesting because the Mutual of Omaha growth has been even more impressive than the True Network growth, because over the years, and I had Scott Alt was on a True Leadership call this year, and we talked about that kind of crazy growth. I don't know if do you have a peer carrier that you look at and go, oh yeah, they're kind of on the same trajectory as us?
Not really. I don't think at this point, many of our main competitors, everybody knows, right? Guardian, Hartford, Unum, Met, all of those. A lot of them were established in some products and things like that we haven't even really scratched the surface on. Dental, worksite, things like that. We've really kind of grown it from within with having reps with a longer tenure, really building the relationships and kind of grinding from that perspective. And then also obviously partnerships like True, where we're aligned in what we're trying to accomplish in our target market and kind of getting to that point. So, and persistency is super important for us too.
Yep. Well, every rep, there's a bunch of long tenured reps. I mean, you guys are doing something right to keep folks around and engaged. So our mutual bestie, Chris Watt, who's somewhere around here, by the way.
Longest tenured rep at Mutual of Omaha.
Is he
Chris
really?
Watt.
The singular one?
2 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's always fun. I give Chris, because he's a real friend. Like, I give him a hard time a lot too. I'm going to go back to that
conversation.
It's easy to give him a hard time, but he is a wonderful, giving, loving person with a sort of over-the-top personality, which makes people love him. I'm sure there's some people somewhere that don't like him, but it would not. I don't know if I would trust someone that didn't like Chris Watt. Now, I get why he may be too much for them sometimes, because I'm too much for some people sometimes, and I'm nowhere near what Chris Watt is. But this is when I was thinking back to his first conversation with you, when Chris Watt is championing you. That's a funny thing for me to think about. Like, all that is Chris Watt saying, I know this guy and I like this guy and he's great. That's I'm trying to look inside your mind and wondering what you were thinking. Like, okay.
Well, I mean, Chris, though, has had a great career at Mutual, right? I mean, the fact that he's been here for 22 years and is consistently produced in the top level. I mean, you take what people say when they do that, for their word and stuff like that. So
it's so good. I look back on my career, being a partner in the agency and a producer before that. I have 2 or 3 best friends that were my group reps at the time. And they went beyond helping me. They really got interest. Well, I think they were really interested in helping me as a person. Like, they took an interest in, let me help you win this case. Let me help you win that case. Let me help you retain that case. And it went beyond just transactional stuff. It went beyond like open bar tabs and cool experiences. It was like really helping you in the business. You know, by the way, I'm free to talk about this subject at the next Mutual of Omaha sales meeting. I'm working on a presentation for that. For those of you who are listening or watching, this will be about the 7th time I've mentioned to Megan that I'm available to speak. And she, in the most gracious way, completely ignores it. It's just a laugh and a move on to the next stuff. But I told her, I'm going to be an in-demand speaker pretty soon. You know, here's the part.
I know the pitch will be coming at some point.
Oh, it's coming.
So, I mean, yeah.
The full what you're going to be talking about.
Okay, I've got a couple that I'll talk to you about.
Okay.
I'm not going to bore this crowd with it. But then I just realized, so as I'm talking, this is what happened sort of with, I'm a recovering salesperson, if I'm being real. You say things and then you realize in the moment, like, you guys have been so good to us, I may never be able to charge you for, like, I may be speaking free for the next decade.
Hey, we got this on
any
camera.
Mutual.
Yeah. So
Okay, let me rephrase that. Travel and food costs.
Okay.
If you really need me to go to Monaco, I will do it for just the travel and the hotel, airfare and hotel.
Noted.
All right, let me get back on something serious. We're not going to talk about much serious. I do have personal questions now.
Okay.
And it's gonna be about each of your significant others. I'll start with you.
Okay.
Megan.
Mm-hmm.
Clay, is that your husband's name?
Yep.
When is the first time you locked eyes with Clay? And it was that, oh, okay. Like that moment, like the first time you looked at him and there was like a spark.
Well, we were friends first, so that's kind of hard for me to say, I guess. So when I first met him, the first time I met him was freshman year, Miami of Ohio. Mm-hmm. Shared the same dorm.
Okay.
I could never remember his name for like 3 weeks. I was like, who is this kid that keeps like coming? I don't even know, whatever. But we built a friendship for a couple months and things like that. And then this will be a little bit embarrassing, but then we went out, had a couple beverages. The rest is history.
But was there a moment, I'm going to stay on this a little bit.
Yeah.
Was there a moment, and there may not be, however, I'm just interested in this with relationships, where even though you're friends, there was I might be interested. Was it just a friendship like, oh, he's cute kind of thing? Is it something he said?
Hopefully he'll never see this because he's going to be like, what the heck? I don't know. That was a long time ago. It was like 22 years ago. I don't remember.
So, it's okay. You don't have to. But what that elicited though was a story about being a freshman.
Yeah.
In college.
Away from home.
He's in this. Do you think he kind of made the first move? Do you think he was like, showed a little bit of interest first?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a long time to be together. Did you start dating?
When you're 18. Mm-hmm. And I'm 40. We're 40. Mm-hmm. So.
2 kids?
2 kids.
Ages?
5 and 7.
We were talking earlier that I started True 8 years ago, and you got pregnant right after that. Mm-hmm. And I remember the conversation.
Yeah. So my daughter's life is the same length as the True.
That's right.
Relationship.
If we need to incorporate some True education in our upbringing, we can do that. Mm-hmm. All right. Is it Max?
Max.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first time those sparkly eyes hit yours.
I don't know if he was very honest about pursuing me.
Like just out of the gate? Well, where'd you meet?
We went on our first date and we sat at sushi for
time out. How did you get to the first date?
Good old Bumble.
Oh, Bumble.
Horrified to say.
Well, everybody, there's so many people have met online now. It's like totally accepted.
Yeah. Yeah. So we started talking there. We were talking for like 2 weeks and I said something like, what are you doing this weekend? He said he was going to a Dodgers game. And I read it as dragons. And I was like, please do not tell me that you're a gamer. Because this is, I'm out. He's like, how are you reading Dodgers, dragons? And I was like, well, okay. I misread it.
Right.
And then we went on our first date. We went to sushi. And I think it was like 7 hours that we sat there.
Oh.
I had soy sauce dumped down my back by a waiter.
Nice.
New white shirt.
Oh. Perfect first date.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So when you walked into that restaurant, Had you had not talked to him before, other than online?
Yeah, just online. We talked on the phone. But
so what'd you think?
Dates?
Who got there first? Did you get there first, or did he get there first?
He got there first.
So he was sitting down.
Yeah.
So did you see him sitting down? Did you make eye contact? Were you behind
He
him?
immediately walked up to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what'd you think?
I mean, we're married.
Well, it doesn't always work out that way.
Great at answering that question. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but did you think, oh, he's cute? Like he looks like his picture?
Yeah.
Because sometimes on the online thing, it doesn't always work out that way.
Picture.
I had a very brief time post-divorce, pre-dating, that I was online, and there were multiple times where I arrived at a date and it was like, okay.
You were catfish.
Well, I don't want to sound mean or unkind at all, but it was sort of like, you have to know what you've done. Mm-hmm. Like there's no way you post that picture.
Right.
Like you just get in the ballpark of what you look like a little bit. So he was dialed in. He
was.
Okay.
And actually, he had posted photos of him going to Australia like a few months before, as had I. So when we just went back to Australia, we took photos in the same place.
How romantic.
You know?
But you've only been married how long?
A year in October. This past October.
Wow, that's gone by pretty fast though.
Yeah.
It seems like we were just talking about, you got married in Hawaii, right?
Yeah, we got married out in Maui.
Yeah, I missed that invitation somehow. I guess strategic partner only goes so far. I met, I was just at a event planners meeting, but it was for executives of companies that plan events. Alhi, shout out to the folks at Alhi. If anybody ever watches this from that organization, Kyle is my rep contact there. And I was talking, I met a guy there who's getting married in Italy in October. And we hit it off, and I was like, I think if we become best friends, if I've got 6 months to get to a level with you that I can get invited to because he showed me the pictures of where they're getting married. It's fabulous. So maybe that should be a thing. When you know someone to get married destination and you want to go, you just try to befriend them. Yeah. Guilt them into an invitation. All right. So we've covered that. Let's talk about how you made your way to Mutual of Omaha. All right. Nicole, we'll start with you.
So
where'd you go to college, first of all?
Went to University of Arizona.
Oh, a Wildcat.
In Tucson, Wildcat.
All right. I've heard that's a fabulous school.
It's a great school.
So you went there, then you get out of school. What's your first job out of school?
MetLife.
Oh, straight in the insurance industry. Oh,
straight. Interesting
story. We were talking about earlier. Tell the story about what you thought you wanted to do before you got into the insurance business.
So I majored in psychology and then minored in art history and art studies. And I thought I was going to get into art therapy and work with children with developmental disorders as well as people with PTSD. And with that, I needed to go back to grad school, and I was kind of looking at everything together. My dad was in the drug and alcohol counseling industry for over 20 years. So I was kind of watching that burnout. And my mom was working at MetLife on the mortgage side. And she said, well, do you really want to do that, or do you want to come to the mortgage side? I said, not really. So at Met, there was a sales training program, and that's kind of how I got and tripped and fell into the insurance industry.
We all either trip or get tricked. I got tricked. You tripped. Okay, let's pause there.
Yeah.
So your first job was with MetLife. All right. Miami of Ohio.
Correct.
What's the first job?
A company called Foresters, fraternal organization that was based in Chicago, selling annuities, life insurance, mutual funds, all that fun stuff.
That's what I did. But I was hired to be a financial planner, but I was really hired to sell insurance.
Right. They give you glorified titles, right, that don't really say what you're really doing.
And I felt fancy. You guys saw where I grew up today, so you see I come from a pretty humble spot. I didn't even have a suit for my first interview. With New England Financial is who I went to work with first, and was enrolled in my CFP right away. And they're like, oh yeah, but you got to sell some life insurance and annuities. I'm like, I don't know anybody with money. This is going to be tough. So then I'm going to stay with you.
Yep.
Did you become disillusioned with that? Did you like it? Tell me what happened.
Yeah, it was good. I was happy with it. Would I say that my passion was there? No. So we were engaged at the time, Clay and I. He was in training in San Antonio. He's in the military. found out we were going to Omaha, Nebraska from Chicago. I'm like, what the heck's in Omaha, Nebraska besides cornfields? Okay, great, right? And so kind of started looking for another opportunity. I really enjoy the sales relationship aspect, but obviously with him being military, didn't know if we were going to move every 3 years, what that was going to look like. And so that's kind of how I got into more of hybrid, I guess you could say, type roles. Because
you went to work for Mutual of Omaha. That's your first job in Omaha, right?
Yeah, found out, actually got flown out for a couple interviews for Mutual of Omaha. Ended up taking a job on the retirement side, starting there, packed my car, drove out to Omaha on a Friday with our dog, and on Monday started at Mutual of Omaha. So
what year was that?
That was 2007.
Yeah, it sounds like that should be not that long ago, but that's
a long time ago.
All right, so now we have you at Mutual of Omaha on the retirement side.
Correct.
All right, so you're with MetLife as a group rep, or as a sales rep?
As a group rep, I covered parts of Arizona and the outskirts of New Mexico outside of Albuquerque. So,
yeah. Well, first of all, can I say, so Val's from Albuquerque. Val Stremsterfer-Smith, also known affectionately as Mrs. Hot Dog. I've been to both Albuquerque and the outskirts, and I say this in a very loving way. Yeah.
I learned.
Yeah. Yeah.
I learned quite a bit.
And how long were you in that role?
I was in that role for 3 years. And then I was still in Arizona at that point and decided to come back to California. And that's when I met Mutual of Omaha and the Southern California team and became their business development rep. So I was in kind of my own sales territory out in Riverside up to the Central Coast, and then managing along with the sales manager there.
Gotcha. Now, I'm going to get names wrong because I do this, but Jeff Eilers is out there, right?
Correct.
Was he in a different role then, or was he in the same role?
He was in the same role, the regional vice president for the West for us. And so Jeff was one of the first people that interviewed me. And then actually when I came into this role, he was one of the first people to reach out.
What a unique guy. I've been around him a handful of times, and every time is ultra positive and a different conversation. One of the smartest dudes. Very unique fella. Brad, the other California person I know, is that right?
Brad Maddox. Yep.
Was he in that same, was he in?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I worked
all these long-term people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Exactly. Back
All
to
right.
the tenure.
And then you left.
I did.
And went to where? Aon?
I went to Aon as a consultant.
Yep.
For 5 or 6 months. And that's when Megan and Jeff called and said, there's this role. And it just fit into what I felt my strengths were. Really finding the partnerships, finding where the synergies were between our companies, and really taking what Megan had created with the national partners and running with it.
When you guys are close, right? I'm not overstepping bounds by saying that you guys are coworkers, but friends as well. When was that friendship in place the first time?
Not really.
Or did it develop over really sort of the working together over this past several years?
Yeah, I would say so. You know, obviously, I would say we both knew of each other and things like that. But with her role, she was more ingrained in the office sales and dynamics, where I still had more of national responsibilities and things like that. So, you know, for me in my role, the RVP, so Jeff and his counterparts are my counterparts. And then I have a lot of really good relationships with the managers. I don't necessarily go down as deep to some of the reps and things like that. So, but I knew of Nicole. I knew what she did in the office. You know, she was held in high regard with Jeff and Brad, and I really wanted to find somebody who I could plug and play in that role, because it was super important that we find the right person, from a personality perspective, also knowing the industry, things like that. And so kind of all worked out.
And now we're here
Yeah.
in Guntersville, Alabama.
Here we are, first time in Alabama.
Really, the whole state? Wait, wow, have you been? Yeah, you were in Montgomery for a while. We talked about this.
Visited, yes.
I mean, listen, I love my people in Montgomery. Mike Hicks is down there. David Durden's down there. There's a lot of people I like down there. There's not a lot going on in central Alabama. It's one of the hottest, most humid, most gnat and bug infected places. Okay, Montgomery, I love you. I'm sorry. It's just tough. We used to go play soccer tournaments down there, and I hated it. North Alabama, I'm biased. Very beautiful lakes, mountains. Okay. So I want to ask the same question to both of you. Whoever wants to go first can. Talk about why True Network is by far your most favorite partner.
Puts us on the spot.
Supreme partner.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. That was a joke. I mean, we know it's true, but we're not going to make you say anything out of love and respect for all the national partners that fall below True Network on your love list. Anyway, let's talk about what's exciting you now. No, you know what? Absolutely not. I'm going a different direction. I've asked this question a million times. I'm going to ask it. If you could only listen to one artist's music the rest of your life, you only get their library. You get their full library, everything that they've touched, but nobody else's. Who would you choose?
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
1,000%.
My daughter would love that. I mean, she probably wouldn't choose Red Hot Chili Peppers, but she is a huge Chili Peppers fan.
I am a huge fan all the way back to the start. Jeff and I have actually gone to a concert together.
Oh.
I think I've seen him 4 or 5 times. Absolutely love him.
If you were to rank your top 3 Chili Pepper songs, I'm putting you on the spot here. And you, by the way, you can change this at any time. But what just jumps out at you is you're like, I couldn't live without that song.
I would say like Scar Tissue and then Danny California.
As you're thinking.
Probably By the Way.
Okay.
There it is.
Yeah. You know what?
Good.
You know what? I felt you feeling that song as you were saying it. You kind of gave a little.
Yeah, I could feel it.
Yeah.
When I was in the guest DJ spot, I was like, do I do Red Hot Chili Peppers? But, we wanted upbeat.
You wanted upbeat this morning. By the way, for those of you listening, we did True's Day today, and we always do a guest DJ, and she's referring to her guest DJ song on Super Trooper. No, True's Day. I always say I'm wrong. All right. Let's make it. What would be your artist? One, only one.
I got to go with Morgan Wallen. It's more, recent, but yeah.
I love Morgan Wallen. He was actually number 5 on my recent Spotify Wrapped.
Okay.
I don't know how, but I do like him, so obviously I did. You know what? I just knew you were going to say something like
some country type music.
I thought you were. I would have said that you would have said Def Leppard.
Yeah.
Well, I would just think Southside Chicago, suburb, like you growing up, kind of like that's what I was just thinking.
I need more calming. I got too much chaos in my life,
Yeah.
So.
Do you know what I just remembered? This is so funny. One of our first True Learning Academies. I'm guessing it was 2018. When was your first born?
In 16.
It might have been 17.
My second one was 18.
Okay.
So it could have been.
All I do is you were one of the first participants in our Walk It Out.
Yeah.
So we had this idea to where strategic partners would pick their walk-up song, something that, and I would say, is it just something you can identify with, something that you feel, it could just be your favorite song, it could be whatever. Do you remember the first song you picked?
Was it Thunderstruck?
Nope.
I want to say it's Baby Shark.
Absolutely.
Oh God.
It was Baby Shark.
I know.
I try to block that out of my memory.
I also was like, what do you mean?
Oh, that's because it was on repeat at our house.
Yeah, that's what you said. I just remembered that. So Morgan Wallen. Have you done your little, do you guys use Spotify?
I don't.
I do. And my niece just told me my
your
wrap up was an old person's thing to do.
An old person thinks to do.
To hear that. She's 22.
Can I phone a friend? I'm going to call Britopotamus director. Were you aware that looking at your Spotify Wrapped was an old person thing to do?
She said that like people today use Apple Music versus Spotify. I was like, is that true?
I don't think that's
Are
true.
we messing with Aunt Nicole? I feel that
I use Apple Music, but that's
So this is the deal. I think she's giving you bad information. Both my kids use Spotify. It also might be because they're using my family account, though.
correct. Yeah,
They might be tapping into that.
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
I mean, now I'm curious. I haven't asked anyone else, but that's what she told me this
very
week.
curious. Well, this would make sense because I am much older and I use Spotify. But everybody I know uses Spotify, but also everybody I know that would talk to. That's not true. I do get the occasional link sent to me in Apple Music. We've got to research this. I'm going to see if this is a young person thing or not.
I know.
Because I don't know why you would pick one over the other.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
It's just great. This is when you get to a whole new level of old. When you're like finding out old things like third hand. Like I didn't even find out about it. I found out somebody 10 years younger than me who found out about somebody 10 years younger than them. I don't think Spotify Wrapped is old. Well, first of all, it's cool.
I think so. I thought it was cool.
So speaking of country music, I knew what mine was going to say because I got on such a Jordan Davis kick in the first of the year that I created a playlist and I was on so many airplanes and I would always start off every plane ride with that playlist and I would sort of get lost in it and I played it. Not only was Jordan Davis my favorite artist, 5 of his songs were 5 of my top 5 songs. I would not even tell anybody. Well, yes, I would. I'm telling everybody that. But I wouldn't even want to show him that. I'd be like, I feel like a stalker or something. But it was just because of the playlist. You know, we should do that. Next Tuesday, we're going to do a Spotify Wrapped old person
There we go.
playlist edition. All right. Let's try to see where we want to go. Do we want to go personal? Do we want to go... wait, let's talk about where we grew up. Because this is very different. You guys are good friends now. Very different upbringings. Laguna.
Yeah, Laguna Beach, California.
It just sounds like such a struggle to grow up in Laguna. We were talking about Michael Goldman of Teledoc, and he'll listen to this because he is a super trooper. He'll listen to this. He's 36. Wait, really, are you 36 or 37? 37. He's 37 now because he's 37. So he's 3 years older than you.
Okay.
But you guys would have been in high school at the same time.
I mean, it was less than 1,000 people at our school, so I'm sure somebody knows someone.
Do you remember if he said he went to that high school or he went to a rival high school? Do you remember that? Yeah, it was a different high school. I think he went to a different
CDM high school. Or Dana Point?
Do you have Michael Goldman's cell phone number? Text him and ask him when we would go to high school, where he went to high school. But you grew up there.
I did.
It just seemed like not even a real place to grow up.
It was an artist community, really small town, and just kind of blossomed into, I think, what everyone knows it today to be. My mom has been there for over 45 years.
Oh, wow.
My dad over 30 years, and absolutely love it. I grew up in the same house that I was brought home to, and always had an ocean view at every school until I went to Arizona.
Wow. So we're going to come back to that.
Yeah.
Let's go to Southside Chicago.
Yes.
Chicago Heights, no. What's the name of it?
Chicago Ridge.
Chicago Ridge. So what was that like?
It was great. You know, Southside, Irish, Catholic. I mean, big into Catholic schools there. Everything. I obviously went to Catholic school, grammar school, high school, everything like that. Yeah, just a very tight-knit kind of community. I mean, things are different now, obviously, in Chicago.
Right.
But, you know, you didn't lock your doors. You went out and you played. You did all that stuff. So, yeah.
So all girls Catholic school?
Yes, for high school. 500 girls in my graduating class.
Whoa. It's a big high school. Uniforms?
Yeah. Uniforms are the best thing. My kids go to Catholic schools. I don't fight with them in the morning. They put the same thing on.
I've always said the same thing. I wish, my kids went to Guntersville High School, which is where I went, but I've said for years, I wish every school would just go to a uniform.
Yep.
It's just so easy. There's no peer pressure. There's no status.
Yep.
Yeah. I guarantee you there were a couple of designer outfits worn around Laguna High School.
Yeah. Our little bubble.
Yes. You know what's interesting is that we all grew up so think about this. Laguna Beach, Southside Chicago, rural Alabama. That is way different.
Yeah. Couldn't be more different, probably, honestly.
Yeah, we get in the same industry, in the same room, and as you get to be an adult, you have commonality. Now, there's a lesson in there somewhere. You know, this whole kindness thing we talk about, it doesn't really matter where people grow up.
No. Everyone puts on their pants the same way.
Yep. Okay, so Chicago, Laguna, Alabama, Arizona,
Arizona,
Miami of Ohio, I just took a circuitous route. There's a bunch of stuff in there for me. Could you, we talk about getting tricked or tripped into the industry. Serious question. Do any of us think we'll ever do anything else other than be in this industry? Like, I'm not, well, hold on. That's not true. Let me pause. I think I might. I think there might be like a chapter 2 for me, whatever the end of True Network is. Whenever it plays out, there's going to be a time where me running around on the stage talking like Forrest Gump is not fun. I might get in the hospitality industry.
I could see that.
I could see that too.
I am obsessed with creating experience and memories for people. What about you? Nobody's listening, so don't worry about it.
I mean, I think at some point, right, it will come to an end. Do I see that in the foreseeable future? Not really, when you look at that. But yes, like career number 2, which I wouldn't even call a career. I'd love to do something with dogs. So that's where I'd like to go at some point.
Okay.
Whether that's having a rescue, doing some kind of daycare, business type thing. I don't know.
All right.
Something.
I'm coming to you soon over here. I gotta dive into this one.
Loves the
Do you have dogs right now?
I do.
How many?
2.
And they are
2 pits. 2 pit bull mixes.
2 pit bulls.
Yep.
Were
So
they rescued?
Yes. So one's 8 years old. The other one just turned 1. We lost our 16-and-a-half-year-old dog earlier this year, so had to get socks spelled like the White Sox outside Chicago.
Gotcha. Yep.
So and it's a girl. So she came into our family pretty quickly after we lost our other one because Riot, our current pit bull, was a little depressed.
What's his name?
Riot.
Yes. And socks. It's interesting because sometimes when people start having children, their interest in sort of their pets, it wanes a little bit.
Yeah.
But not you.
No. Both kids have newborn pictures with them in a bassinet and the dogs next to them. My daughter and our Riot and our Chance, our dog who passed away for her first birthday, they all were born in October, so they all had hats on together. Yeah, they're like our children. Yeah. So
I love that.
my daughter loves dogs. My son, not so much. And I'm always like, who are you?
There's time.
Yeah.
He's little.
I don't know. He told me he was going to have a bunny when he gets older. So,
Well, how old is he now?
He's 5.
Yeah, hey, that'll
bunny
change.
and a parrot. I was like, oh, okay.
The only better thing than him just being a kid is saying that is if he actually believes in that stays the same.
Yeah.
If he gets to have a bunny
forever.
and a parrot. All right. Same question. Like other career, something that you're like, that stimulates me. Like my chapter 2 in life might be.
Max and I joke I'd have like a flower and a wine shop. Just a kind of combo of flowers, and I think that's grown as I've got into Michigan because they are helping with seasonal depression. And then I've always wanted to get like my sommelier's license and kind of grow in that space from a food and wine pairing. So
it's interesting.
Some type of shop.
So I'm going to go back to something you said in the beginning, because sometimes I am listening, but when you're hosting like this, you're also trying to listen and dive in, but then also thinking about what should I ask next. When you talked about, the career you thought you wanted before you got into MetLife around painting, did you say therapeutic art? Is that
art therapy?
Art therapy, instead of backwards. That was for, for folks who were developing delayed or something. But you sound like you have a heart for...
I think a heart for some type of creativity and helping people. I think that'll come out later in life.
It's interesting. My daughter, we've talked a lot, well, not just this week, but in the past, is visually disabled, almost completely blind now, but she still loves to paint. But as she's, gradually lost more vision, she started to do things now. Like she sent me a painting recently that it's, how would I describe it? I think she's taken mixtures, and instead of, she paints, but she also will build on the canvas. Textural. So it's like textural.
Yeah.
And she said the other day, she said, if I could do anything I wanted and make a living, I would find a way to make art and be creative. And I think there's something around that. It's going to be really interesting. The business part of me was like, Madeline, if you can figure out a way to capitalize on being blind and still doing art, there might be something there for you.
Completely.
That's interesting. You know what is also interesting is how we can always do elements of what we love and not it'll be our main job. So we can be involved in hospitality or animals or art or some kind of healing something. I think we get so caught up in work and busy and life and kids. It gets hard to think that way. I get all philosophical sometimes, you know.
Have to bring it in.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Val was laughing at me because she was asking me about the most recent event that I went to. I mentioned the hospitality event. And I was like, one of the things that was interesting is I ended up in these two separate deep philosophical conversations each night at dinner. And she was like, well, how'd you get there? I was like, well, let me think. Yeah, I took us there. Somehow I led us into that conversation. But people are fascinating.
Yeah.
They really are. It's one of the things that I've discovered I like about this format is that I didn't really know that you had a passion for dogs. I didn't know about your possible career in art therapy. That's meaningful stuff. When you think about what really makes you happy, what brings joy. I could even see on your faces when you were talking, there was just a different smile, a different look in your eyes when you were talking about that. By the way, if either one of these two people quit Mutual of Omaha, do not hate me. I did not start them down a path to nonprofit stuff. Okay. Where are you guys going from here? Are you going back home you're in Omaha. You're near Detroit now.
I've moved about half an hour outside of Detroit. July or August I moved.
Right. From where?
From Dana Point, California. I'm going into my first winter.
Not my first. My first winter. That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard as a fully grown person.
Yeah. It's the first time I've ever been fully unaware of what is to come.
What? You've never had a winter. What about clothes? Did you have to buy all new clothes?
I mean, from a work perspective, I've always traveled to colder states, so I feel like I had a baseline.
Yeah.
But the day-to-day,
I'm waiting for all our new recommendations. Those of us who live in these states, it's like, oh, it's the same stuff. But I'm like, you tell me if there's something cool out there that I can tap into.
UGBoots has definitely stepped it up. They've done some changes.
When I was talking to our buddy Chris Watt about interesting to talk, she said, you could talk about fashion or design. And I'm like, I don't know anything about fashion or design. I would be leading a totally uneducated conversation. But you both do like that, I believe.
Yeah,
we do.
We travel a lot. Together. So.
Yeah.
Right. How many nights away? Have you tracked how many nights away you were last year?
A lot. This is probably 2023 is probably the most that I've traveled. I would say
this is
in my career
travel year. I think we had 47 conferences this year.
What?
Between the both of us or together.
47?
That's just what I have. Other areas of accountability and some different other travel stuff. So
that's just from a partnership perspective.
Moly. So if the average one, probably 2 nights average?
Usually 2 nights, some are 3. There's the occasional 1 night, or you can kind of be strategic in your timing.
Yes. This is what I'm thinking right now. I have to give more love and kind and caringness is care. That's not a word, but I have to be more understanding about our strategic partners and attending our events, because I don't think about, if you would have asked me to guess how many events you had last year, I would have said, let me try to get a realistic number here. I would have said, you've got 8 or 10. I would have said 21, 22, 47 plus other stuff, plus personal travel.
Yeah. I mean, our divisions, our events team rolls up through me too. We had 100+ events last year or this year. So
I would say part of it is coming out of COVID and just people wanting to be back in person and just really craving that. I think it kind of opened back up in 2021, 2022, but everyone wanted to.
Yeah, this was the first year that was like fully nationally across the board. And all locations really kind of open.
That is a lot. A lot of travel, living out of a suitcase, waking up in hotels, dinners, drinks. That's a lot of all that stuff. Okay. I'm going to have more compassion from now on around our strategic partners. Holy cow. By the way, do you think your events team, some of them will listen to this?
We work very closely with them. So yeah.
I think so.
I don't know if they know this, but I'm available for speaking engagements. I got that in there. You see that?
You did it.
Yeah. I actually met someone who has an event planning company in Omaha who does a bunch of work with your events team.
Outlier.
I'm not going to remember.
Okay.
It was a wonderful couple. She owned the business. Her husband was with her. You know what? They were with me.
Oh, Extreme Recognition.
Maybe.
Yeah, they're in Omaha. Husband and wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do promotional gear and stuff too, and they helped us with our like incentive trips and stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, I bet you that's it.
Well, they were with me when I don't think I've told you. I told you the story last night. Did I tell you the story about the same name thing?
Yeah, I was going to say.
All right, I'm not going to tell that story. It's a long story. I will tell the crowd this story about how we're in the matrix because I've mentioned that 8,000 times on this podcast. But you know what we do know? I think we have a text from Michael Goldman. Brett, which high school does he go to? How do you say that? Aliso Niguel?
Aliso Niguel.
Aliso Niguel.
Right.
So that's a rival high school. That's not Laguna.
That's not Laguna. I would say
Okay.
that's a rival high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have another way we're in the
Orange
matrix.
County.
We're in there. I'm going to go back to the fact that you've only lived in Laguna Beach, Tucson, Phoenix,
and Dana Point.
and now you're in a suburb of Detroit.
Yep.
Max, she loves you a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
We need to bring Max and Clay to an event.
Yeah.
I have no idea if you guys are sincere or not.
No, Max is coming to the owners meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
how about that?
Yeah.
Is his name Maximus?
Maxwell.
I really wanted to be Maximus.
I mean, we can call him Maximus.
I'm going to. I'm calling him Maximus. Clay. Can we get Clay to an event?
Sure. He would have no idea what's going on because I don't talk to him about work. So
He doesn't need to know. I don't even care to talk about insurance anymore. He's a pilot, right?
navigator.
A navigator. What's Clay's middle name?
He does not have one,
That's
Oh, that's boss.
which is not good if you're in a government role because you have to have a middle initial. So he has an N, which is NMI, no middle initial. And some people think his real middle name is Nimi.
I would see that and I would be like, is this me? Is the N silent? That'd be my first thing is you've got some kind of Asian name that's like,
So he's the third, right, in his family. And I told him at the beginning, I'm like, we're done.
no.
There's no fourth
no
ever
Quattro?
happening, ever.
But he was never Trey.
No.
Yeah. No. Now, where did he grow up?
Outside of Cincinnati.
That's right. And where did Max grow up?
Dana Point, California.
Look at all of
Just
us.
digging our
Yeah.
snow trap.
I'm really worried about you. Everybody say a prayer for Nicole in her first winter.
I appreciate that.
I imagine like these scenes from what's the HBO show that everybody watched where they went to the wall in the north. What am I thinking about? The big show on HBO.
The wall.
Game of Thrones.
Oh,
When they would say the winter is coming.
That's what I feel is
That's
happening.
I feel like it's happening to you too.
he's going to be those people who go like with snows in the forecast to the grocery store. Those people who are like
That
hoarding.
stock up.
Yes.
Yes.
And
And
are
I'm
concerned.
like, in us regular Midwesterners
Yeah.
look at you like,
I feel like we're going to be the people who overreact.
Yeah. Well,
And
you have a
overindex.
reason.
Yeah.
I mean-
until we're kind of comfortable. I think that's kind of the space we'll be in.
I've never thought about people who like lived in California, Hawaii, New Mexico. Well, I think it's called New Mexico, but in places where it's never cold.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you say it's my first winter,
First real winter.
that's mind blowing to me.
We have the snow scrapers in the cars now as of this last weekend.
Oh boy.
We also bought, I don't know what they're called, like the poles that you put along the driveway if the snow gets too high.
I don't even know what those are.
that is a definite first time winter. Yes. Yes.
I don't know if they'll go up, but they're there.
I don't even know what those are. From being in the
I
South.
have no clue what those are either. So,
It'll be a fun group message if they ever go up.
yeah.
This gets to be schizophrenic, I hop around on this thing. But I'm going back now to something I'm thinking about. You went to 47 events this year, or that's how many there were. More trips, really. Is next year better, worse, the same?
Probably on par.
On par.
You guys, that's a lot.
2025 is already being built out.
Well, we're working on 2025 plans for, because True's grown enough now where we have to start booking hotels and stuff. But
the good news is we're adding some team members.
Oh, that's right.
So that will help us in terms of that growth.
you're actually adding someone to sort of your team, right?
I'll be adding a team member, and then I'll actually have a counterpart coming in as well starting January.
What do you have any plans on releasing True as a relationship?
No.
Okay.
They're different calibers.
Calibers.
Of roles.
Right.
So
I thought it was funny that you were talking about it, and Chris was like, "Who is it?" And you're like, "I can't tell you."
yeah,
Not yet.
I love that.
it's all kind of under wraps until.
Are you done for this year? Is there anything else you have to go do this year, travel wise?
In Omaha next week for 2 meetings,
Okay.
and then done traveling for the year.
And you?
I actually just have, believe it or not, like 4 Omaha events. So
You know what I'm also thinking is that how thankful I am you came here. Like, to have that many trips and to still come here and spend time with us is very meaningful. I'm serious. I joke around a lot, but that's a bunch of travel, and for us to be squeezed in here at the end, it was really cool. So thank you for coming.
I thought it was going to be like 75 degrees.
That's why you
that
came.
might have like, and then I was like, I'm like December, Alabama, maybe like.
We'll be able to de-thaw there.
Yeah.
Maybe we do this a little earlier in the year next year.
Yeah, I bet the leaves changing colors down here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
All the water would
gorgeous
be, yeah.
It was probably only 4 weeks ago, I would say. It wasn't that long ago. Yeah, it's gorgeous. And our new house will be ready. No, it won't next year. Boathouse will be ready. We could have the meeting in the boathouse.
We can do that.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, we're bumping up against the hour. We've tried to tell the Super Trooper crowd that we're only going to keep this at an hour, which is hard with 2 people because you want to ask all the questions. But I'll close it by saying thanks again sincerely for the partnership, but also for just being 2 cool human beings that are just easy to talk to. And, we haven't really had to have a real tough conversation yet, but I know you're going to be very gentle with me when that day comes. So we always cheers at the end. So I gotta reach you a cheers. True love.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Hands up, heads down.